Back in 1996, John Perry Barlow proclaimed at Davos that the internet would be self-governing, and that national governments, which he called weary giants of flesh and steel, would lose relevance. Now, as we approach 2026, the 30th anniversary of that event, we spoke to experts to hear how Barlows Vision has held up.
You look back at Barlow now, and you realize what a pipe dream that was. The idea of the internet as a place of innocence and self-governance is long gone. But what's interesting is how this has evolved in different countries. Europe and the US, for example, have wound up surprisingly close to Barlow's vision, but for very different reasons.
Look at Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. It didn't take long for firms and their users to realize that they liked each other more than either liked the GDPR. Then in the US, the government stepped back because it realized it just couldn't regulate its way out of the cybersecurity challenge. The more they muddled and tried to manage how companies behaved, the more they created checkbox compliance lists and monocultures that became easy pickings for attackers.
Meanwhile, the tech industry has stepped in to supposedly regulate itself, but primarily by cracking down on speech that it arbitrarily deems as offensive. What's really striking is how, in places like China and Vietnam, governments have taken near full control over what Barlow thought was completely impossible. And yet, these countries have reaped some pretty incredible benefits. It's also making these countries more insular, both socially and economically.
We're at an inflection point as nations are choosing one side or the other, and it's not always obvious which way they'll go. The challenge is for institutions that are trying to navigate this so-called global economy. Foreign trade used to be a lot easier. It's starting to really affect economic growth.
The idealism, it's gone. In half the world, it's about companies, in the other half, it's about governments. And in neither of these systems do we have anything close to what we imagined as a free and open internet.